Friday night's a great time for like coming home when the work week's done, opening up your box of LED lights that you ordered earlier in the week and you got, putting them in a game, turning it on, and recording episode 51 by the purple and blue lights of a Bride of Pinball. Right? It's Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. Like I said, it's episode 51. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast. It's a commentary. I am a man out of quarters. How's everyone doing? It's Friday night, Friday the 13th. I bought a Powerball ticket. I don't usually play the lottery, but I may at this time be worth like $400 million, split a certain amount of ways minus taxes. If anybody won, I don't know. Haven't looked yet. I guess the odds are against that, but that's okay. Will the podcast continue if I win the Powerball? Less frequently. I mean, I'd buy a lot of pinball machines, so I'd actually probably, maybe more frequently. Okay, I'll say this right now. If I win the Powerball, I will do 2 solid months of daily shows there. Then I'm taking a break or something, if I win the Powerball. So, yeah, episode 50 was earlier in the week, and it generated a ton of mail. So this episode, we're going to get through the mailbag. I'm going to hit up a bunch of mail pieces I got recently. Like I said, I ordered a bunch of LEDs from a company called Comet Pinball? Comet LEDs? Comet something. Just Google Comet Pinball, Comet LEDs. I like to spread around my buying habits. I buy from CoinTaker, I buy from Pinball Life, I've bought from just about all sorts of, all the major part suppliers. But Comet Pinball came out, and I decided to give them a whirl and order some LEDs, and I kind of ordered just a mishmash. I was at work, and I wasn't really thinking about what I needed. I just got this Bride of Pinball, and I knew it needed a bunch of lights. There were some GI lights out, a lot of backbox lights that were out, and some lights were just filthy dirty. This game came from Bakersfield, and the playfield was pretty clean on this game, but the underside of this game was just blackened by the dirty, dusty air up in Bakersfield. So a lot of the lights were just really dim underneath the inserts. So I took some time tonight and played with a bunch of different LEDs and really put a lot of thought into it and pulled out some other lights I had left over from when I'd done some previous games. And I think I dialed Bride of Pinball in just fantastic tonight. I don't even know that I'm going to do all the inserts with LEDs because these Williams games have the ghosting issue if you use a cheap LED that doesn't have the extra little bit in it that keeps it from flickering on or sort of ghosting on when the LED should not be on. So, and I know there's a fix for it, but for the games that I know I'm keeping or thought I was keeping in the past or I'm trying to sell for a profit, I will often order all the non-ghosting LEDs and just really trick it out. Or if the game warrants it. It's funny, Twilight Zone is such a holy grail machine for me. I've been very, very slow to do much to it. I've put a few key LEDs in that game in a few different spots, but I've left it very much original. And I probably will change some of that. There's a few inserts I definitely want to brighten up and bring the color out and pop the color out. I did put blue LEDs in the street lamp above the Power Mini playfields, sort of give that back area a nice blue glow to it. I love. But Bride of Pinball, I took a different approach. I had ordered these fan style LEDs that sort of shoot out light in 4 directions. They're like $2 light bulbs, I believe. And I ordered some in blue. They're really bright. And I put them under the slingshots. I put one on each side under the slingshots. And it just shoots out all this great spread out blue light. Really, really good. So then I went ahead and changed all the rest of the GI lighting on the playfield, the low level, sticking out of the bottom. Mounted GI lighting from whites, and a lot of them were actually burnt out towards the back of the playfield, to purple, and it looks really, really cool. But Teresa came in and said, the back left corner is so dark, and it was really dark. and I had ordered a bunch of spotlights a while back for a different game that I ended up not using them in before I sold it. So I had these little spotlight things. It's just a little plastic reflective metal spotlight cup that has a simple wiring harness that you run down through to the to the underneath and then wire it in. Some people use alligator clips. I went ahead and soldered it in. You just solder it in line with another GI lighting, something else that stays on all the time. Well, so I mounted a spotlight on about midway up the left side. I mounted it low, but aimed it back towards the face of the bride of Bride of Pinball, and put a purple light in there. So it actually no, I ended up with blue. I switched it to blue because I had the lower stuff is purple. We tried purple, but when we put a blue one in there, it really set off the rocket ramp, the main left ramp in the game. Got this nice blue tint to it. And Bride of Pinball, a lot of the playfield is like a star field, like black with little white speckled stars. So it really looks great. It actually made me love the game even more. And I put LEDs up the skill shot lights that light up during the skill shot, and a few other spots, but I didn't do the inserts, partly because I don't have the right bulbs right now, and partly because I put a bunch of new, really fresh incandescent bulbs in there that weren't all dirty, and it lit up quite nicely. Although the bubbling of the Mylar over those main circle inserts on the big circle and the little circle on the playfield, in the center of the playfield, the bubbling really, now that there's better lights here, I can really see it, and it's starting to bother me, and I'm starting to have dreams of pulling the Mylar off that playfield. And I've never done that before, so I actually took part of my lunch break at work today and just read Pinside forums about pulling Mylar up, and was trying to decide if it's something I want to undertake or not. So hopefully some of you experts out there will chime in and let me know. If anybody's taken the Mylar off a Bride of Pinball specifically, I'd love to hear a story. Because the last thing I want to do is ruin the playfield. But I'm up for a little, elbow grease and freezing that stuff off and pulling it, and freeze and pull. So probably won't get into that right away. I'm really starting to play with the idea of jumping into the Dutch Pinball Bride of Pinball 2.0 pre-order. And I think I got a lot of email about pulling out of Medieval Madness Remake. I mean, a lot. I probably got 15 different emails of people either saying you did the right thing or you're crazy, you're going to regret it. And it didn't make it much easier for me. However, I'm out. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it as a limited edition pre-order first 1,000. The time may come and I may sell some more stuff, sell some games, or put the money together again. Because I feel like I just did all this to buy it. Now I'm not buying it. Where I go buy one. And maybe if they go on some sort of sale from distributors, I'll be even more tempted. But as of right now, I'm out. So, frees up some money. And there's some games I'm on the lookout for. And I'm also, now that I've lit this, I tell you, lighting does a lot for me. Lighting's such a big deal to me with pinball machines. Can really change my feelings towards a game. And I just have this Bride of Pinball dialed in right now, so where it's playing pretty good. The right flipper needs a tiny bit of an adjustment because I get a little bit of a bounce when the ball rolls down the end lane and goes to the flipper. It just ever so slightly. Like, I notice it. Probably a lot of people wouldn't notice it, but I notice that ball doesn't perfectly smooth. So I got to get under there tomorrow and do that. Not a hard adjustment. Easily done. I'm kind of a hack when it comes to repairing these things. I'm not that good. I'm always watching YouTube videos and reading forum posts to make sure I know what I'm doing. But I'll figure that out. But now that I got the lighting all dialed in, I'm kind of falling in love even more with this game. So having visions of, buying the expensive conversion kit and basically having two games in one, having the original Bride of Pinball rule set there for me, and then also having this new reimagined game with all the great DMD animations that Dutch Pinball's put together. I've actually been talking to the guys from Dutch Pinball via email about having them come on the show, and we're trying to arrange that. There's a couple things holding that up right now. One of them being just the language barrier, I think, worries us a tiny bit, that it may be a difficult thing over Skype or the phone with my English and their Dutch and their, I'm sure they all speak English. They can read my emails, but I think they're not sure if their English is, great as far as understanding each other perfectly, which I think we'll be fine with. and I can edit if I must. But then there's also the time difference. I think it's 9 hours later there, so just figuring out the right time to do it. I may be recording the first ever morning version of Coast to Coast Pinball to get that. But I do want to have those guys on and kind of hear sort of the story of how it was all put together, which I know is out there, but I want to ask the questions. So I'm really considering that. I'm actually leaning towards doing that right now. And that would be really neat. So, I remember I had a Street Fighter game that I had bought. It was one of the first games I bought that had some known problems. Before that, I would always buy a game, play it, get rid of it, sell it. And I'd always buy a game that worked fine. But I bought this Street Fighter game that had ramp issues and had some other things that just needed to be fixed. And I got it really cheap. And it was the first game I dove into replacing parts and everything. So I did that. And then it was the first game I put a lot of LEDs in. And I remember I had that game probably a year in my collection of 2 or 3 games. And when I first got it, of course, I played the heck out of it. 'Cause you learn a game and you want to get excited about it. And Street Fighter 2 is by no means a top-level game. But it has some interesting shots. And it's sort of one of those linear games where you're doing everything in order. And I'm not the type who, even with video games when I was younger and played a lot of video games, who could have the patience to play a game over and over and over and keep dying and then just starting over and starting again. I remember the game Contra on the original Nintendo NES system. I never finished Contra, or maybe I did as a 2-player thing, but when you died, you went back to the start, and it was so frustrating to me. And I wouldn't do it until the cheat code came out and I had 30 lives, but that's another story. But Street Fighter was kind of that way, whereas I just never could get to the end and do the Grand Champion battle thing. It drove me crazy. So I would just not play the game for weeks. But I remember getting all the lights and I literally replaced every single bulb in that game with LEDs. Put $200 into a game that I think I paid $600 for. So once it was all lit up, though, it looked so good. It's a very blue play field, and it just looked great lit up that I loved it. And I played it a lot more, and I actually did get to the Grand Champion. And I never did beat it, but I did get there before a few times after that because I was more excited about the game. So interesting how that, just the visuals and the lights can affect that. And I think it's neat. And Bride of Pinball tonight, man, it just looks so good in here and in kind of a low light room. So that was kind of exciting. Some things from episode 50. I had a lot of emails, and I was so hyped up recording 50, just that I'd gotten a 50, and I was talking about Twilight Zone, so I liked so much. Not only did I say, I think multiple times, Rod Serling's name wrong. I said Rod Sterling, not Serling. I think I said it wrong at least once. I actually typed it wrong, too. And there's a funny little story about why I do that. So when I was a kid, I actually had a coach or an assistant coach on a basketball team I played on named Bob Sterling. And that name is always stuck in my head as Bob Sterling. And then Rod Serling, I've always loved. I loved his voice. I loved the suit. I loved the demeanor. I loved the little quirky catchphrases through the Twilight Zone. For years when I was a kid, I thought his name was Sterling, S-T-E-R. And then I remember probably when I was 16 or 17 watching a Twilight Zone marathon realizing, oh, it's Serling. And I still screw it up to this day. I say it wrong. And it's something that I absolutely love. But anyway, so to all those that corrected me, yes, I was wrong all over the place. Also, I think I called the Invader ramp wrong. Or the Robbie the Robot ramp wrong, something. I don't know. I screwed that up. I don't know. I'm wrong on that. Hold on. I'll actually tell you how I screwed it up because I got a really nice, very well-written email from Mark here. Jumping into the email. This is not the check the email segment. There was no voiceover.
Check the email.
Show has a mind of its own. See? Who knew? Anyway, so Mark wrote me 50 episodes, and it keeps getting better and better. Thanks for the commentary in Twilight Zone. I've owned over 50 games in the last 8 years, and Twilight Zone was always out of reach. Over the summer, I managed to trade a game that had skyrocketed in value over the last couple of years, and I finally acquired a Twilight Zone. I'm currently in the middle of a teardown for it, but it will be going into my game room soon. Very cool. So he says, talks about... he would catch marathons. He's been a 7th grade language arts teacher for the last 16 years, and pleased that our literature book has the script of one of the episodes, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. Students will enjoy it. Side note to that, the music project I'm currently working on, that has nothing to do with pinball, but this is just me and my other stuff that I do. I write and have a little band group thing going on, is actually a takeoff of The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. I didn't use that as the name of the band because that's actually been used. It's called The Monsters Are Leaving Maple Street. So, early days on that. But anyway, so yes, I'm into that too. Mark says, of course, you probably can't get through an episode without someone emailing you and correcting you about something you said. Oh, but you're wrong. See, Mark, I don't make many mistakes, so they don't have anything to email, and that's not true at all. So, I kid. But I wanted to mention a couple things I thought I heard you say regarding... No, you did hear me say. So he says, I think you referred to the left ramp as the Invader ramp and mentioned Robbie the Robot. I think you're getting two different robots episode mixed up. I actually know they're different. I just couldn't remember which it was, so I threw them both in at once to cover all my bases. The robot in front of the ramp is Robbie from the episode Uncle Simon, but he's not the Invader. He isn't actually the Invader. The Invader's the little guy on the back glass, I believe. I can't see it from where I'm standing. Or maybe that's a Robbie the Robot. I can't see. Robbie was originally in the film Forbidden Planet and then made several appearances in sci-fi shows and movies in the 50s and 60s, including Uncle Simon. Yeah, he is actually kind of a pop culture icon. A friend of mine has a band called Fearless and Fairweather, and their flyer to their last show had Robbie the Robot on it. And The Invaders is another episode starring Agnes Moorehead, who was from Bewitched, and Sling Plastic. That's where The Invader is. Yep. And then he also caught me saying Sterling instead of Sterling. Mark finished up his email with, he says, I love your commentary about the business end of pinball, manufacturing costs, business models, marketing, distributing, doing business in other countries, and your comparisons to your line of work is very fascinating. A lot of collectors who post on Pinside may not seem to understand everything behind manufacturers' decisions, and you seem to have a pretty good voice of reason when commenting on the current state of business. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Mark, for the email. I appreciate the kind words. I'm intrigued by the business side of it too, but I do get really frustrated when people like simplify it and say, "Oh, that it can't cost more than $2,000 in parts. How come they're selling it for $8,000?" Well, it's not that simple. So yeah, that definitely drives me to go to real world stories about other manufacturing things. So thank you for the email, Mark. Since we're here in checking the email and whatnot, let's jump to a couple others here. Since you seem to be out of the Medieval Madness remake, what is next on your list besides Doctor Who? Thanks for all the episodes, Jonathan. Jonathan, that's a great question. Well, like I said earlier, I think that I'm considering the Bride of Pinbot 2.0 upgrade. I'm thinking about it. Doctor Who's always on my radar. When I find a nice one, I'm going to buy it. I got hate mail over saying that I prefer Champion Pub to Medieval Madness. I don't even know if that's true. Is that true? Do I really? You know what it is? I've played Medieval Madness a lot more in my life than I've played Champion Pub, and when I played Champion Pub, I just love it. Something about it. So, I'm not saying it's a better game. I'm saying I enjoy it more. Relax. I struck up some anger with that comment. So Champion Pub, definitely, although I don't know if the value's there for me. Not sure. As much as I like it, still you end up paying $5,000 for that game. There are actually some older games that I've been sort of like. I love the game Medusa. I play it often when I'm on the East Coast at the Silver Ball Museum. The Pinball Podcast, Don and Jeff were talking about that game last episode, I believe. I believe it was them. And it got me thinking what a fun game that would be to have at home. It'd be a neat one. I want a Tales from the Crypt. That's another game that's always on my radar. If I found a nice Tales from the Crypt, I like it. Teresa doesn't, but I do like it. I'm still thinking Star Trek. Part of me still wants to just call up someone and get a Star Trek sent here in a box. I don't know. I guess what I would say to you right now is I'm looking for deals on fun games. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but I am looking for deals on fun games. Thank you for the email, Jonathan. When you write me, just as an aside, I'd love to hear where you're from. Like, some people don't say where they're from. Like, Jonathan just said Jonathan didn't say where he was from. But I'd love to hear, where you're from. Like, here, for instance, this email, his title actually says, "A Second Listener from Tokyo." And he asked me about something else. He said, I need to go listen to your recent show. I want to know what you think about the Mustang pin. And then, this is Jim, and he wrote back. He said, you are not too excited about the Mustang theme. I'm a car guy and have had a few Mustangs over the years. Having said that, the reason I am excited for the game is that I'm hoping we get something unique. You could have a burnout toy. Picture a vertical wheel above the playfield that would shoot the ball out when you do a burnout. I think that there are a lot of options for timed modes. How quick can you do the quarter mile? Hit shots in order to shift gears, etc. You could have a race car mode, or a race mode, where you race other fictional drivers, maybe like Championship Pub. Good idea. Maybe you could have modding, things like upgrading your car, better suspension, tires, engine, etc. Anyway, thanks again for the podcast. So Jim, I don't think they'll do racing in a Ford Mustang theme, because Ford's kind of is an American car manufacturer. They're in a tough spot, and I think car manufacturers run into this sometimes. Is sure, they're building these cars to go really fast, but we got speed limits. So I don't know if they would do a marketing thing like a pinball machine where the focus or a feature was that we were racing. Maybe if you're doing like, sanctioned racing with it or something, which I don't know. Maybe they will. I know that, Ford builds cars for racing too, so I guess that's possible. I don't know. I guess it's part of the reason why this theme doesn't excite me. And I did have some other emails that I will kind of go through just all at once here about why I wasn't excited about Ford Mustang as a theme. I don't know what the story is that you tell. It seems a little bit like it's a gratuitous commercial more than a great storytelling, quote unquote, vehicle for a pinball machine. You take something like, I don't know, Fishtails. There's nothing commercial about that. It's an original theme, but you're just trying to tell a story and have a fun. It's a game. You have this game, and you take a story theme like Tales from the Crypt. Tales from the Crypt is a horror movie / short story deal. I think they're TV show type thing. So you take Tales from the Crypt and you're telling stories and progressing through modes and whatnot. That's cool. Ford Mustang. It's kind of what Harley Davidson got caught up in. That didn't really tell much of a story. It wasn't a lot of depth there. Now, I think you could tell a story if you had like a writer who could write, the story of maybe you buy your first, 80s beat up Mustang and you do upgrade it. And then maybe you have the options of going to buy like a brand new 2015 Mustang where you're going to get the souped up model, or you go vintage. Maybe you choose vintage mode and you buy the old 64.5 where you have to fix it up. And I don't know. I don't know how far deep you go with the storytelling aspect with Ford Mustang on a pinball machine. It's interesting. So I think what could be exciting about that game is, you're right, something unique, some sort of cool toy we haven't seen before, or, a set of ramps that are just different and cool. They definitely could capture my imagination, but just the theme alone does not. And I know Stern has that problem where they announce these games out ahead of time, but they really don't have anything to show you until the game's ready to go. So when it's Star Trek, no problem. They've got 2 movies they're basing this machine off of, and this storied historical sci-fi franchise that people don't really need a lot of pushing to get excited about. And people are excited. Jersey Jack with The Wizard of Oz had sort of an awkward thing because he chose this old, all-time classic movie that, we all know, and most of us would agree is a great film, but I don't know that a lot of the normal pinball buyers were really excited, like, I can't wait to get my hands on that Wizard of Oz anything. Now, pinball machine, cool, and we knew really early on that game was going to be very unique and interesting and kind of groundbreaking, if nothing else. So we were excited about that, but certainly not just the theme. If Stern announced we're doing a Wizard of Oz machine, it would be tough for them until the game was shown. I think that's one of the reasons Jack had to really show some of that game off quickly, was to appease the folks who just kind of went, when it was Wizard of Oz. If he had kept a sheet over it until the very last day and then pulled it off, he wouldn't have had the pre-orders that he did. So Stern has that issue. Metallica, of course, they announced, hey, we're doing a Metallica pinball machine. People were like, yes. AC/DC was a little different. When they announced AC/DC, a lot of people were not excited because the previous rock and roll band theme, the Rolling Stones, was kind of a dog. And if you don't think it was a dog, you're much more open-minded than me, because that's one of my least favorite Stern releases, period, end of story. I mean, I'll go back and take Striker Extreme over Rolling Stones. I think Rolling Stones is just not fun. If one popped up in my local area for $2,000, would I buy it? Yeah, but I wouldn't pay $3,000 for it. And for a late model Stern game, that's saying something. So Ford Mustang's a theme, but I don't know what that means. Like, what are we doing? It's not really a racing theme. It's a car theme. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm definitely excited to see it. I'm excited to see it because it's a pinball machine. I love pinball machines. If they announced that it was Angry Birds, I'd be excited to see it because it's a pinball machine. Again, I wouldn't be excited about the theme necessarily. So, anyway, I don't remember whose email I was answering at that point. I think Jim's. Thank you for the emails, Jim. I appreciate you listening in Japan. I actually have a few listeners in Japan, just a couple that have emailed in, but I've gotten some notes on Facebook and Twitter, too, from other people in Japan. Andrew wrote me. Andrew, UK listener and Bride of Pinbot owner. And he actually, the summary in the topic line is awesome, because then I know what I'm looking at when I open it up. It says, disposable income, free time, and kids. So he wrote, hi Nate, I do enjoy listening to your shows. I love it when you talk your mind regarding some of the hot topics, and your whole explanation of distributors and manufacturing prices, etc. is explained really well and makes sense to me. Keep up the good work. P.S. Here's where the email goes just off the rails. P.S. Once you're married and have your own children, all of that disposable income and free time will be spent on way more important things, and pinball will become a very insignificant part of your life. Don't say it will never happen, as you know she wants it. Andrew, you have yet to meet and spend much time with the lovely Teresa. Well, the marriage thing, I mean, she and I, we've been living together for years. We share a lot of money. I mean, I might as well be married. Why am I not married? Somebody asked Teresa why we're not married. I don't know. Just kidding. Don't do that. Children? I don't know. I know that's sort of a personal thing, but I don't know. We're friends. We can talk about it. Neither one of us are really jumping to have kids anytime soon. We both have lots of nieces and nephews, and we have places we want to go and things to do and see. So not high on our list right now. But if we were to do that, then yes, money would definitely change. The way I probably wouldn't frivolously go buy Bride of Pinbot machines on a whim. So I wrote back to Andrew, and then he wrote back. I asked him, because he said he was in the UK, and I asked him how pinball location play was in the UK, just to kind of hear his take. And Andrew wrote back, location pinball is terrible in the UK, but slightly better in the rest of Europe. It doesn't have anywhere near the same following as in the States. However, this is reflected in the prices. My Bride of Pinbot cost me £550, and that included a new Repro upper playfield, set of ramps, and faces. I bought it in the hopes of doing the Bride of Pinbot 2.0 upgrade, and then I saw the price of the kit. Way too expensive for me. The color DMD, and he spelled color with a U, by the way. I'm just kidding. He did, but I'm just poking fun. The color DMD version looks awesome. We have a couple of pinball shows a year organized by some members of UK Pinball Forum, which always include a guest speaker from the pinball industry. It's all done on a budget, so we always try and help out when possible. In fact, I got to drive George Gomez back to the airport after he presented at the pinball party this summer. What an honor. Also spelled with a U. Nice chap. I tried not to talk about pinball for the hour-and-a-half drive, but that's pretty hard. I've also got to play on the Highway Pinball Full Throttle game. Some great innovations used on that machine. Actually, my 11-year-old son got first go at the unveiling presentation. That was a proud dad moment. Better stop there, as I don't want this to be a lengthy email. Cheers, and have a great Christmas. Andrew, cheers to you, and I hope you and your family also have a great Christmas. I hope that's great that you have an 11-year-old who's into pinball. Love to hear it. Definitely interested in seeing more of Full Throttle. I need to get on that. We need to have Mr. Highway come on the show sometime. Very cool, hanging out with George Gomez. Jealous of that also. £550. Let's do some math. We haven't done any math on this show in a while. £550 to dollars. Let me do my little calculation here. That would be $895 US. So that is a cheap Bride of Pinbot. So what's it cost to ship a game from England to California? Probably a lot. $500? Would $500 get it here? I bet it would. That's still cheap. That's pretty great. It's good for you, Andrew. Appreciate you listening, man. Thank you. That's awesome. I have one more email I want to read. Let's see. Hey Nate, I saw today on Pinside a thread about best shot in pinball. Probably should be called your favorite shot in pinball. However, what is yours? Mine is either the ring shot in Lord of the Rings or a shot that you didn't give enough love to in episode 50, the gumball shot when you have the Powerball in play on Twilight Zone. Thanks for the first 50. I hope you make it to 150. Mike J. Mike, I saw that thread too, and that thread's actually 8 months old. Somebody revived it. So the Powerball shot in Twilight Zone, what he's referencing is when you get the Powerball in play, which is the ceramic ball that doesn't react to the magnets and whatnot. Once you have that going, the whole idea is to shoot it back to the pinball to start Powerball Mania. And I guess I didn't give it enough love. I thought I did. But it's the right orbit shot, and it like chants at you and tells you, you don't miss, and if you miss, you'll lose it all, and all this and that. And it is a pretty great feeling when you do hit that kind of hard right shot, and you feel that click of the ball going back and diverting towards the gumball. That actually is a great shot. My favorite, probably not even my favorite on that game, to be quite honest. I love hitting the piano shot, and when you hit that as the jackpot shot in multi-ball on Twilight Zone, that may be my favorite shot in pinball. The Lord of the ring shot, also very good. That's actually a really good one. Sometimes shots are dependent on where you are in the game. And I did read through that thread a little bit after I saw your email, Mike, and a lot of people had, the quirky response of, my favorite shot's the shot that, beats wizard mode, and I can see that being true. A lot of people said, like, the hole-in-one shot on is it No Good Gophers, I think? Yeah. Definitely a cool shot. I think, sometimes timing shots for me are the ones that, like, make me feel the best. The warp ramp shot on the new Stern Star Trek, that's a tough shot the first time you step up to that machine. It's quick, and you got to hit it just right. And then once you get it, you want to hit it multiple times in a row. And I know there's a thread on Pinside right now that's posting about how many times in a row you've hit it. And I think I've gotten it 4 times in a row, which is my max. I'm never really good at those sort of repeated shots. Like Judge Dredd has a shot like that where you can hit the upper left flipper around the little quick loop, and you can do that multiple times. It just gets moving so fast, and I don't know, man, maybe my reflexes aren't that good. I'm never really good at those. So when I do time them and hit them, I love that. The ramp on Doctor Who, the side flipper shot on Doctor Who is the same exact thing. I think that's another good one. So I actually really like those. There are certain shots that just have a great like click to them. Like I'm looking at my machines right now, trying. On Bride of Pinball, my favorite shot on Bride of Pinball, the far right loop shot. It's sort of the hidden loop shot, and it's really cool because you can hit it with either flipper, although usually you hit it from the left flipper on the right side. And it does this weird sort of inverted feeling loop, and then the ball returns across to you back to the left flipper. When the first time you hit that shot, you really expect it to come down to the right flipper, and then it goes left. I always like games that do that. Circus Voltaire does that. Circus Voltaire has that really cool inner loop shot that does that. And I know something else I was just playing had the same sort of shot. It was Black Knight 2000. But I like loop shots that sort of return to an odd spot where you don't expect it. I always think that's really fun, and it gives a really unique feel to the game. Another shot that I think is really cool is the jump shot in No Fear. I think that's neat. I like stuff like that. And there's probably a million more. So I'm sorry I can't narrow it down to one exact shot. And I was talking about this with somebody the other day. We were talking about Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz doesn't have a shot on that game that really excites me. And that's one of my problems with that game. It's a beautiful game, as we've said before. It's a game changer on a lot of levels. But as far as just a pure shooting pinball game, there's nothing on that game that I'm like trying to hit. And I love when I like slam the ball into that. And that's too bad. I think games have to have that. Whether it's a cool scoop shot that you hit, or whether it's a long shot, and they have the two long shots in Wizard of Oz, but I don't know. That's why Twilight Zone's so good. Those 2 deep ramp shots are cool. The lock shot is awesome. The left orbit shot's a fun shot to hit. The piano shot, the camera shot, dead end through the pop bumpers. I mean, man, that's why Twilight Zone's so great. Those shots all feel good. The castle shot on Medieval Madness is a great shot. Blowing up the saucer on Attack from Mars is a great shot. So, I guess that's my thoughts there. So, the other morning, I was at work, and I don't remember if it was on my Facebook or just looking at Pinside. A lightning deal from Amazon came up for the Avengers Pro from Stern. And I thought that was weird. So, I didn't even know what a lightning deal was. And so what a lightning deal is Amazon runs these things that are timed, called lightning deals, where they put up certain products for sale, and they have like a countdown as to when it'll go on sale. And then it's like a flash sale, and they put a certain amount of them up for a certain amount of money. And usually the sale's pretty good. And you see the countdown hours before. So the pinball folks on Pinside and people on my Facebook and everywhere were posting about this thing for hours, that, hey, there's an Avengers Pro. And Amazon for a while was a Stern dealer. And I'm looking at Amazon right now. So they list the retail price of a Stern Pro machine to be $59.99. Their price that they sell it for all the time is $49.99. So that's kind of the going Amazon price. And if you're a Prime member, they'll even ship it to you for free, which I am. So this popped up, and I was skeptical and figured, okay, so $49.99, they'll probably put it on sale for $4,500. And I'm pretty sure if I called around to distributors, if one of them still has an Avengers Pro on their floor, which there are out there, someone would sell me that game for $4,500. Well, it actually came up for $37.49, I believe was the price, $37.50. And I was kind of shocked how cheap it was. And I actually added it to my cart. And I was waitlisted because they were only going to sell 1 or 2 of them. They said they had 10 in stock. And it said, you're the first one on the wait list. And if somebody doesn't buy it ahead of you, you will have an option to buy this game for $37.50. So now I'm kind of panicking because I don't really love that game. It's not a game I'm, dying for on any level, really. But a brand new in-box Stern game from the last year and a half for $37.50 delivered. I was talking myself into it. I thought that's actually a good price because, say what you will, at least it would be fun to play for a while, right? Because, again, I'm not a big collector and reseller, yada, yada, yada. I like to play the games. And I always say, a bad pinball game is better than no pinball game. And I wouldn't call Avengers a bad pinball game. I would call Avengers sort of disappointing more than bad. There's some okay stuff there. And I know I ripped this game pretty hard early on in this podcast history. So you heard that. I'm not backtracking per se, but it's all sort of perspective. If I'm paying $5,000 for this game or more than that or something like that, yeah, to me it's just not worth my money. $37.50 now, that puts you at a spot where I feel like you're almost renting the game because that's a 6-month game for me. So I buy the Avengers at $37.50. I get it. It's brand new in a box. I set it up. Hey man, I run a podcast. It'd be a good story, right? I play it. I do as well as I can in it. I try and master all the shots, some of which are clunky and ill-conceived, George. And then I sell it. Probably, honestly, in San Diego and Southern California, I probably sell it for more than I bought it for. Sales tax. Got to pay sales tax. That's a problem buying a new pinball machine in California. You're adding 9% to that thing right off the bat. So now we're at like $4,100. And it just wasn't the value to me at that point. And I was watching the Pinside forums kind of blow up over this. Like, oh my gosh, a new Stern $37.50. And some people were like, I would buy that in a second, blah, blah, blah. One guy claimed to have had it in his cart at the time and had a chance to get it. He was saying that at the same time I had it in my cart. So I don't know if he really did or not. Maybe they had 2 for sale. Because I know their stock did go from 10 to 8. so maybe they sold a few of them. Currently, they say they have 6 in stock, so maybe they sold a couple more. I know there were people calling, complaining that they didn't get the price, so maybe if you called in and fought with them, they just sell it to you. I don't think they're going to sell 6 more of these at $5,000, but maybe. It's Amazon. I mean, their customer base is much wider than us and our little obsessive pinball hobbyist folks. So, I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting kind of choice there. A brand new Stern game. A theme I don't mind at all. I like the Avengers. I think the Avengers movie was great. Teresa and I just watched Thor on cable the other day again. Like that. We're going to go see the second Thor movie eventually when we figure out the time to do it. I like the Avengers fine. I didn't love the game. The game had weird flow and just a clunky layout. And I don't know. But there were things I did like about it. The music was great. But the lighting was nice. I think I'd only ever played the premium and limited editions though. So I'm not exactly sure what the difference is for the Pro. But if I could have shipped that thing here for $37.50, I probably would have just gone ahead and bought it. I thought that was probably worth it. So I started looking around what they'd sold for on Pinside and the marketplace, what they'd sold for on eBay, and they were mostly over $4,000. I mean, almost all of them were over $4,000. Some had sold for $4,700 real recently. And then today, looking on the Pinside forum, there was a post in Machines for Sale, post in the form of a question, $2,700 for an Avatar, ? And it was based in New Jersey, out on the East Coast. A gentleman whose screen name was Stym, S-T-Y-M, in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, wrote Avatar on location in Hamilton, New Jersey. Not mine. Not really interested in selling any of my games to get this. Guy says he needs $2,700 and he's already been haggled. Is that a good price? All I can say is that it works, has flipper button wear, and has a dirty playfield that looks like it would clean up nice. Anyone seriously interested in this, PM me and I'll get you the guy's number. Here are some cell phone pics. So he showed photos of Avatar. And yeah, it has definitely flipper wear by the flippers where just hand grease and schmeg has worn through the artwork on the side of the cabinet. From the photos, which are cell phone photos, but they're not bad photos, the playfield looks like it's in fine shape, probably as dirty as he says. Avatar is not a game it's sort of like Avengers, not a game I love, really. A little more basic layout than Avengers, and I think you could have a lot of fun playing it. And there was a PM sent from somebody fairly local, right away, so somebody was interested. And as the thread went on, more PMs were sent. And I think the consensus sort of was, buy it. Buy this game. That's a great price, $2,700. And again, it makes me think, this is a new, modern, Stern game, DMD, not super deep rule set by any means, but there's rules, and it's a game, and it's got toys, and there's, we covered Avatar pretty in-depth on an episode, earlier this year. And that's a good price. I would buy Avatar. A theme I don't like. I don't like Avatar. That's not a theme that excites me at all. I like Avengers way better than Avatar as a theme. I probably like Avatar a little bit better as a game than Avengers. A little more basic layout, sort of like a fan layout. Some cool stuff going on there. But $2,700? I think I do that every day of the week, right? So I got to just looking at the list of Stern pinball games and sort of looking around at what they're selling for, and it's a little surprising at the price of recent Stern games. So I notice, for whatever reason, Rolling Stones, people just really think that game's worth a lot more than it is. Those are on sale locally in Southern California for $5,500 still. They can't be selling at that. I just can't imagine. But if you look, I mean, man, I'm just kind of going through the list, and I'm looking, Metallica's still new, but you can get a Metallica Pro for $4,300 used out there in parts of the country. Avengers, if Amazon's selling Avengers for $37.50, I mean, there's games for $4,000 out there, or they're going to be at least. Big Buck Hunter, I don't ever see those for sale. It's a John Borg game. It's kind of an interesting game. It's a little bit like, redneck Rolling Stones to me. Instead of Mick Jagger, it's a big rubber deer. I don't know. I don't love that game, really. I've played it recently, actually. I don't really like that game. Theme doesn't do it for me at all. And Teresa would never have a game in this house that had the killing of animals, ever. So that won't happen. X-Men. X-Men's the one that I sort of zeroed in on, because that's a game that I really do like, especially the premium, or I guess the limited edition versions, excuse me, because there was not a premium of that. There was just a bunch of limiteds. The price on X-Men's lower than I would have expected, too. I was just sort of taken back by the price of Stern games. Spider-Man from '07 seems to really have held its value a little bit better. AC/DC's still doing pretty well. Iron Man, I think we all know the story there. They didn't run a lot of those, so the prices actually jumped on that game. Tron, I see some deals on Tron Pros. Tron Pros don't have nearly the cachet. Then there's Transformers. Transformers, that's 2011. That's, 2.5 years ago. And there's a bunch of limited editions. Like there's 750 limited editions of Transformers out there. And the Pros, and you can get a Transformers Pro aftermarket in a lot of states in the United States. I think $3,800 you could probably score that for. $35 if you really found a good deal. I don't know. It just puts it in perspective. And Stern is the number one pinball machine company in the world. And if you're buying games to play what's happening, in real time, and really the feel of modern pinball is Stern, there's some games dropping down into the pretty affordable prices. And I'm just surprised, I guess, is my whole point on that. And it's interesting how, the Simpsons Pinball Party really holds its value, especially in Southern California. Those games still sell for upwards of $5,000. But Terminator 3, I turned down a Terminator 3 a couple months ago for $2,200. So, and that's a Steve Ritchie game. I don't know, just thought I'd throw that out there. Some interesting, kind of what was on my mind lately. I'm going to stop talking. We're going to wrap this up, episode 51 here in December. I do appreciate you listening. Still got shirts for sale. If anybody's listening, wondering where their shirt is, a bunch of them just went out today, Friday the 13th. I had to just wait and do them all in one shipment. My work was not letting me out to get to the post office any day this week. So a lot went out today. You'll have them next week, except for those of you in Japan and Australia. They're probably a few days later than that. I still have most sizes, I think all sizes in black, and just smalls and maybe one medium left in heather gray. So I am taking ideas on what you would want the next shirt color combo. Same design, different color combo next time. I'm thinking about doing a black shirt with red logos. Does that sound too heavy metal, rock and roll? I don't know. I thought it might look cool. I was walking by someone who walked by in a black G.I. Joe shirt that had like the Cobra Command in red on it. I thought it looked cool. So, I don't know. Anyway, enough from me. I appreciate you listening. If you want to email me, it's coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. The website's www.coast2coastpinball. Follow us on Twitter @C2C Pinball. Like us on Facebook. And I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Hey, buddy, what's up?
I had to share this with you. We just got this Stern Striker Extreme traded in.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy got it from a vendor. And I've got to show you just how outrageous this vendor could possibly be.
How outrageous was it?
Because the fluorescent light apparently went bad or whatever in the back.
Okay.
And I've got to show you. Let me turn the machine on so you can see.
Yeah, definitely. Turn it on.
I've got to show you how this fucking fix it.
Don't use such bad language on my podcast, bro. Jeez.
Look what this idiot has done.
What'd he do?
I just can't believe somebody could be this stupid.
You can't believe it?
He's actually, to get it to fit, he actually had to cut the fixture. He went to Home Depot and bought this.
He went to Home Depot, not Lowe's, right?
This 40-watt bulb. Isn't that clever?
Oh, 40 watts.
Rather than fix the fluorescent light,
he went to Home Depot.
What could be wrong, for goodness sakes? The ballast, the starter, the bulb. What the heck could be wrong? But no. He just went out and put this stupid light bulb up here. He must have thought he was the greatest vendor on planet Earth.
Greatest vendor on planet Earth.
Just to show you, isn't this clever? Let's not put the right drop targets here. Let's just put in... See, the right drop target's on the far right, the wide one. But couldn't be bothered to put the right drop targets in. No, he put skinny ones in there. And then stuck the old stickers in front of it. This just goes to show you, this is why pinball is dead. Because you get these stupid vendors.
That's why pinball's dead?
What the heck they're doing.
I didn't know pinball was dead.
Filthy machine.
It's filthy?
Of course nobody's going to play it.
Oh.
You know, but anyway, when we're done with this, keep an eye out because we'll post a video when somebody buys the machine.
Sure you will.
It'll look when it's finished. Oh, yeah. And we'll get rid of that light. Does anybody want to buy an automatic adapter? A light bulb for their game, maybe they could do that same mod. I'll sell this contraption cheap.
Sure you will. How much? $1,000?
Thank you, Ryan.
No, my name's Nate. Where'd you go? Oh.